Riot Games has finally conceded and brought back the Hextech chests. So here we go. Here are the changes. They're going to be giving away 10 Hextech chests and keys per act. Now keep in mind that there's only the one ranked reset at the start of this year that we already experienced. So unlike last year where we had 3 resets and the year before that where we had 2, we just have the one ranked reset, but they're still going to be dividing the season into 3 acts or themes. We're on the Noxus theme, and they're going to give away 10 Hextech chests and keys for free with the battle pass. And 2 of them are going to be tied to honor. 8 of them you're going to be able to get even if you don't have any honor. The Hextech chest will be replacing the free battle pass skin, so they are taking away that free battle pass skin. But 10 Hextech chests should give you about 3 skins, maybe a little bit extra. And so that is going to be well worth the Battle Pass skin getting removed. Removing the Battle Pass skin also means that Riot's skin team is going to have extra time to work on other skins, because this means there are an extra 3 skins a year that they're not going to have to make, that are going to be replaced with people just opening chests for older skins, so they can spend that time focusing on pumping out new ideas for skins, and working on increasing the quality of their other skins. So that's pretty good as well. So I don't think it's such a downside that the free Battle Pass skin is going away, and I think people would much rather have the chests. They're going to consolidate all the key fragments into keys, and they're going to round up leftover fragments, so you might get an extra free key out of this, which is nice. The Blue Essence cost of all champions is going to be reduced by 50%. This is huge and almost feels like a direct response to the video that I just made, talking about how Riot's doing a bad job of attracting new players to the game and retaining new players once they start playing the game. And one of the big problems I mentioned with that is that when you get into League, the thing that you need to do in order to be retained as a player and want to keep playing the game is Riot needs to find you your champion, or you need to find your champion that you really enjoy and love playing, because champions are so different from each other that if you start out playing support and you actually wanted to play top, or you start out playing top and you actually wanted to play support, you may quit before you ever get to realize what it is that you actually would have enjoyed about playing the game. And so by making champions less prohibitively expensive, players are actually going to have the opportunity to unlock and try more champions frequently enough, hopefully, that they're actually going to keep playing the game instead of quitting before they get to their next champion unlock. And hopefully they'll be able to find that champion that they truly love and enjoy playing faster than they would have before. And that's going to be a huge benefit. And this also seems like Riot's agreeing with that point that, hey, we don't make a ton of money off of people spending RP on buying champions anyways, so we might as well reduce the cost. And I think that is just great. This is probably the best change in the whole thing. Obviously, people are going to disagree with that with the Hextech chest, but we'll get into that at the end, right? They're delaying the ultimate or exalted skin, for Mordekaiser. It's like a Freudian slip there. Well, they're making improvements to it. So obviously we talked about as well that their skin quality is decreased, and especially with these exalted skins that they're pushing out, which cost about $250, that's kind of ridiculous, because they're basically giving you the same thing that you got with an ultimate skin for $25, but it's now costing $250. So where is the justification for the 10 times price increase? It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And so they really need to add some sort of new feature to the skin, really a lot of extra stuff to come anywhere close to even justifying that, hey, this skin is different than an ultimate skin. Even if they do that, unfortunately, like I've said, there are certain parts of the skin that people care a lot about, how it looks, right? And you can only make a skin look so good. There's like animations on the abilities, but every skin's going to do that. So, you can add like a recall animation. I talked about like a, home guard animation. There's things like that players care about. But then even if you add something new, you start to get so far away from what people actually care about in the skin that you can add something that no other skin has. But if it's like, I don't know, turn the torches in the jungle into some green torch instead of orange torch, nobody's going to care because it's just so random, and nobody cares about it, being on the skin, because it's just not core to, like, it's not my auto attack. I'm not using it 10 times a game. It's just this random new element or whatever that doesn't have any effect on whether I'm going to buy the skin or not. So obviously they could add 10 new things and it still probably wouldn't justify the $250 price tag in people's minds, but at least they're trying, right? They're also going to be increasing the quality of battle pass skins going forward, and that makes sense because they're doing a lot of things here to free up their skin team to focus on increasing the quality of some things. And another one that they're doing that's related to that is adding this 25 Mythic Essence to the paid battle pass so that they can replace one of the paid pass skins as well. So they're getting rid of one of the paid skins in the past, and they're getting rid of one of the free skins in the past. So again, that's just going to give them extra time to focus on the skins that they are producing and make them higher quality. Clash is going back to a monthly cadence. This is another thing I'm going to save for the end. I didn't even realize that it hadn't been on a monthly cadence. I think less than once a month is way too slow. So that's crazy, but obviously a good change to at least get it back to once monthly. We'll talk about that, trust me. Your shop is coming back in patch, I'm going to call it what it is. It's 15.6. That's nice. I don't know if this was pre-scheduled. The Blue Essence Emporium is also going to return the patch after that, which is patch 15.7. We're on 15.4. Each patch is 2 weeks. So we're looking about a week. We're kind of into the middle of the patch. I haven't been playing a whole lot. But we got about a week until the Your Shop is coming back on 15.6. Or no, 3 weeks, my bad. And then the other one would be about 5 weeks. So I don't know if these two were pre-scheduled and they're just throwing it in this list so that they can get some points from the community after all the backlash. But either way, obviously they both benefit players a decent amount. Riot makes a lot of money, I'm sure, off of Your Shop as well. But it's a win-win for everybody, because if players get, a discounted skin or a skin they couldn't buy for a champion they really enjoy, that's, obviously a win-win. The other thing is, just as a final note, that you used to be able to earn 52 chests per year, 1 per week, and now you're going to be able to earn up to 60 chests per year, and you're going to be getting 2 of those per act from Honor, so that's 6 total from the 3 acts. So even if you weren't getting any from Honor, you'd be getting 54 chests per year instead of 52, which is obviously a nice little bump up. So they're actually bringing back chests and giving you more of them, even if you don't have any Honor. So this is a really, really nice change, obviously, that people are going to like. Now we have to talk about what I actually think about Hextech Chests and what I actually think about Clash. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, but for most people who like watching my content, you're going to love to hear me yap about this one. I know that this opinion is not popular. I'm probably the only content creator person on YouTube or Twitch who is going to say this. They should not have done this. This is a mistake. Riot should not be bringing back Hextech Chest. I know everyone is excited that they're back, and I know that's what everyone is going to say, but it is objectively a financial business blunder to bring them back. And you might say, well, we don't care about the financial business blunder. We just want our free stuff. But again, if you care more about the longevity of the game than you care about a bunch of free skins for champions you probably don't even play, then this is a problem. Because as I've said before, the way that League's revenue model works is scuffed. When you release a free-to-play game like League that's tied to heroes and champions, right? And the cosmetics that people are buying are for the champions. What happens is that a veteran player like me who's been playing the game for 12 years or something finds the character that they love to play and has a couple of skins for that champion, probably has obtained through Hextech Chest mostly, skins for every champion in their role that they'd be likely to pick. And so there's not really any incentive for a player like me to almost ever buy a skin. The players who are buying skins are newer players who don't have skins for any champion and need to get their hands on a skin if they want to play with one. Or players who play normal games who don't really main a champion or a role and actually just buy whatever pretty skin comes out because they play whatever and they think it's a cool skin. Those are the people who are spending the most money on League, not players who have been using the same skin on their main champion for the past 3 years or 4 years or 12 years. So as a result of that whole system, what happens is that as a MOBA or any game that's monetized this way gets more popular, eventually you reach a point where League's player base kind of peaks and saturates its market. Most of the people who are ever going to play League have already played it at some point or already started to play. And so once the player base starts going down, the problem is that what you have is 90% veteran players who already have the skins that they want and need, and barely any new players. It's not even 90-10, right? It's even worse than that. Maybe it's literally 99-1 or something like that. And there's so few new players coming into the game who actually need to buy cosmetics, and the old players are so well taken care of or have so much stuff already that the game's just kind of cooked from a revenue perspective and a profit perspective, because how are they going to make any money at that point? It's their only monetization option. So having said that, what you have to understand is that then there's going to be, you can think about, let's say League peaks at, well, we'll just throw a number out. I'm thinking from an NA perspective. Obviously, there's other regions and they buy skins as well. But let's just say a game peaks, just to throw a number out there, at like 10 million players at its all-time peak. League was actually way more than that because, in NA it's much lower, but there's so many people in China that, League's way more than that. And of course, there's a bunch of normal game players. I'm thinking mostly of ranked numbers and things like that. There's a ton of normal game players and they're probably buying more skins anyways. So let's say that a game peaks at 10 million players. Once you peak as a game and you hit that 10 million saturation point, where pretty much everybody who's going to play the game has started playing the game, and now you're at a point where 90% plus of those 10 million players are veteran players who are barely spending any money on the game. Your revenue will shrink very quickly. You'll get a lot of growth in revenue and profits in the beginning as more and more people are piling into the game, and more people are buying skins because they're new to the game and don't have any skins, or they're trying different champions and roles and stuff like that, and they're getting all kinds of different stuff. And then you hit a saturation point where you've peaked. For League, that happened in 2017. The revenue for League peaked in 2017. We know it's a fact. Okay, League's revenue peaked in 2017. It's gone up and down a little bit, but it's been on a decline since 2017. It's been on a decline for 8 years. So that's when they hit their saturation point and revenue started declining. So what did Riot do? Riot is taking the money that they're making off of League and investing it into other projects that can make them more money in the future, hopefully. So they've worked on a ton of different games, especially the last couple of years. They're working on an MMO. They released Valorant. They had TFT. I think TFT and Valorant are pretty successful. They had Wild Rift, which is not for me, but it is actually pretty successful. They released games like Legend of Runeterra as well as other ones that didn't do so well and they ended up shutting down. But that's the nature of making games. Some of them are going to be really big successes. Some of them are going to be flops. Obviously, Riot has delivered a lot more successes than flops, so I don't think their game making is bad. And they invested $250 million into making Arcane. Obviously, Riot is not interested in, or they don't think that they're going to be able to make money from League for the next 10 or 20 years. What they know is they need to take all of the profits that they can possibly make from League, or all the revenue they can make from League, while it's still making money, and they need to invest it into growing the business in other areas. They're trying to create, like we've seen with a company like Marvel, they're trying to create this cinematic universe, this entertainment universe. Blizzard has done the same thing with multiple games around the same characters and the same concepts and classes and stuff like that. League's trying to do the same thing and branch out. Hopefully for Riot, I guess it would be successful. To be honest, I don't really care because I only care about League. Not everyone's going to feel that way. Some people are going to have loved TFT or have loved Valorant or love, these other games that they're producing. Some people are probably going to fall in love with the League MMO when it comes out in 100 years from now. But for me, I only care about League. And if you only care about League, and if you're only looking at it from a League perspective, you have to understand that giving away a bunch of skins for free accelerates the process of players already having so many skins they never need to buy any again. And that's what has been happening since they released Hextech Chests in the first place back in 2016 or 17. Since then, on my own account, which we looked into when we made the video talking about Hextech Chests, I have received 140 skins for free from Hextech Chests. I have bought about 30 skins, and the last time I bought a skin was in 2016. That's because I bought skins for the first 3 years of my time playing the game, and then I got to a point, especially with Hextech Chests being in the game, where I already had as many skins as I needed at that point to, that I wanted to play the game. And if I didn't have a skin for a champion, I was going to wait to get it from a chest. That system of giving away that many more skins is crazy, because the amount of revenue that it takes away from Riot during that period of time, especially while the game was still growing, is crazy. Had Hextech Chests not been introduced into the game in 2016, Riot's revenue on League probably wouldn't have peaked in 2017. It probably would have peaked in 2018 or 2019. So you have to understand that Hextech Chests, over a huge period of time, over like 9 years, has probably cost Riot, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, over $1 billion. The reason why I say that is because League's revenue, when it was peaked back in 2017, they were making like 2-point-something billion dollars a year. So again, 9 years of that, let's say that that Hextech Chests cut skin purchases by half, which I don't think it is. That's probably a lot more than it does. But even if it cut it by half, at $2 billion revenue per year for 9 years, you're talking about $18 billion of revenue. If Hextech Chests cut it in half, you're losing $9 billion of revenue. Even if they only cut skin purchases down by 10%, you're looking at, let's see, on 18 billion, you would be looking at 10%. So you'd be looking at 1.8 billion. So I genuinely think that Hextech Chests probably cut skin sales by 10%, which probably cost Riot somewhere between $1 and $2 billion. I think that that's a very reasonable estimate. So it's not an exaggeration to say that Hextech Chests, having been in the game since 2016, probably cost Riot over $1 billion. That $1 billion would have been nice if it was spent on other things like keeping the League servers on for longer, trying to retain players, better, doing things to retain players, attract new players to the game, pay to subsidize the end of the game's life so that maybe the game can last another year or two. Those things would have been so much nicer than, just people getting some skins for free. And people were saying like, oh, well, Hextech Chests aren't that bad for skin sales because a lot of times you're getting random skins for champions and skins that you wouldn't have bought anyways. Not really true. I mean, I know I've been playing for a long time, so I've gotten more skins for free with Hextech Chests than most people. But when I'm getting 140 skins, that's like one skin for every champion in the game. There's 162 or 3 champions in the game. So I have about one skin for free for every champion in the game. That means a lot, right? Like, obviously, that means that I've gotten multiple skins for support champions and for my main champion that I wouldn't, have gotten otherwise, that I probably could have gone out and purchased. And that's obviously going to contribute to loss. Maybe even champions that I don't play as much that I might have wanted to get a skin for at some point that I just got for free or could wait to get for free. Another thing that people underestimate about Hextech Chests is if you're using them correctly, right, and you're actually like re-rolling the cheapest ones that you get that would give you the least amount of orange essence anyways, and you're saving and upgrading the ones that actually give you, what you want, and then you're disenchanting the high cost ones that you don't want. When you min-max Hextech chests, there's actually a pretty good chance that you get what you want. And so I don't really agree with the concept of not getting skins for champions that you want. Maybe you guys are misplaying the Hextech chest system, but I was getting a lot of skins for champions that I play all the time. And I don't think it was that hard. So this also means that them reintroducing this back into the game and even accelerating it is even crazier, because by adding this back into the game, they're going to continue that process. So it's not just going to be 9 years of them losing revenue off of, a small percentage. Well, not that small, but maybe somewhere between a 1 and a 10% decrease in skin sales in order to keep Hextech chests in the game. They're going to continue that, right, for another however many years the game lasts. And that obviously means that it accelerates the death of the game, because that means that the game is going to be less profitable sooner. And as soon as the game isn't profitable anymore, they're shutting down the game. So what I guess people aren't understanding is that it's nice to get some free skins, but I would way rather trade, some free skins for other support champions or something like that. I would way rather trade that for League lasting another 1, 2, or 3 years at the end of its life than getting these skins now. And I think anyone who actually really does care about League and genuinely enjoys playing the game, or who has invested a lot of time into getting better at the game, should understand that. That's all that there is to say about that. It is what it is. So I don't agree with their decision. I think they should have stuck with their guns. Riot is easily bullied by their community. They have a very vocal community, and I think that they made a mistake. That's all that there is to it. I think that they made a mistake. They needed to be stronger than that. But, people are going to be happy about it. Now, as far as Clash goes, another issue. I think that they need to bring back ranked 5v5s. I've said it before. This is a game mode maybe some people aren't familiar with, because it was removed probably back in 2016 or 2017. But basically, the way that this worked is it was a secondary ranked mode instead of flex queue. And so you had solo queue, and then you had team 5v5, or ranked 5v5, or whatever you want to call it. And ranked 5v5 allowed you to create a team with a name, invite players. You could have up to 8 players per team, so that your whole friend group could just join this one ranked team together. And then anytime you had 5 people on, it didn't matter which 5, but anytime you had your group of 5 on, you just queue up and you could play team ranked together. And this was really great for several reasons. For one, it provided a path from, hey, I'm leveling with this group of 5 people or all my friends or whatever until 30, and now we can continue to play together in ranked. Whereas I think a lot of people run into this weird situation with League where it's like, okay, we've gotten to level 30 as a group, and now we're just going to, I guess, play solo queue by ourselves, or maybe some of us get to duo with one person. And we're all kind of doing our own separate thing, which doesn't really make sense in a team game. What ranked 5v5 allowed you to do is play together as a team all the time. Now you might say, well, there's Clash, but Clash was going on less than once a month. So you get together and you get to play 3 games less than once a month. Now, even now at once a month, that's still very few games. And it's on a certain schedule where you have to be doing it on the time frame that Riot has set, not when you guys are on. And so for some people, they're probably just not available. And that would just suck. So it's just not available to some people. Now, Clash does provide the added element of here's a tournament rather than just queuing up for ranked games. And that's really, really nice. And Clash does provide a unique thing in having added that. But it's not the be-all, end-all. And you could still run Clash, especially if you're only going to run it once a month, and replace Flex Queue with Ranked 5v5. Now, why is Ranked 5v5 better than Flex Queue? Because you might say, well, we already have something very similar to that. It's Flex Queue. And here's some problems. When Flex Queue first came out, there were some promises made about Flex Queue and how it was different than Ranked 5v5 that haven't really held true. So for one thing, they said with Flex Queue that you'd be able to play with different amounts of people rather than having to have 5 people. So if you want to play a ranked mode, but you only have 4 people, well, you can play flex. But they ended up having to remove that because there's so few one-man players queuing for flex that they just couldn't support parties of 4 queuing for flex. It wasn't fast enough queue times. So what they had initially said that you'd be able to queue up even if you only had 4 people was just not true, and it doesn't exist in flex, so that's just dumb. Ranked 5v5 also had another huge benefit over flex, which is ranked 5v5 allowed you to queue with anyone of any rank. And flex also used to allow that, but now flex is very limited in who you're even allowed to play flex with based on your flex rank. And so that actually makes it really annoying to try to play flex with your friends, because it's almost like you've got to hop on another account, at which point you're basically not even, like, what is the point? You're not even playing ranked. Like, the other thing is that people just generally take the flex ladder to be utterly meaningless and the rank to be just worthless and like the most clowned upon ranked mode ever in games, period. Whereas ranked 5v5 was pretty serious and people respected the rank and the ladder, especially because at the upper echelon, right, the way that the upper echelon worked is in challenger and ranked teams, or ranked 5v5, the top 20 teams qualified for the open qualifier tournament to play into challenger. If you are not familiar, we still have these open qualifiers into what is now academy, or they recently brought them back the last couple of years. But the way that you qualify is really weird. It's this point system based on solo queue, where you get a certain amount of points for being challenger in solo queue, a certain amount of points for being grandmaster, a certain amount of points for being master. And so you put a team together of 5 challenger solo queue players, and then you qualify for the open qualifier tournament because of points. Whereas the way that it worked before is you had to create a team together, and even if you were a team of 5 master players, if you outcompeted the other teams to try to qualify for the tournament, you could get in. The reality is that if you put an open qualifier team together, even if you're good, and you have 3 grandmaster players and 2 master players, you probably won't get into the tournament. You don't even get to compete. So the path to pro was really straightforward and simple through the client, because you could just qualify for the open qualifier tournament with any team that you put together in ranked 5s if you can make it to the top 20 on the ladder. And that created a very, very competitive environment in challenger in team 5s, because you probably had 30 of the best teams of all of the good solo queue players competing, especially in that, couple of weeks before that tournament, to get to the top of the ranked 5v5s ladder and take each other's spot and hold a spot so that they could be the ones to qualify for the tournament. And it just seems like there's no competition to get into the open qualifier tournament the way that there used to be. And like I said, there's no path for players who are like slightly lower ranked in solo queue but actually quite good to participate in the tournament. And that just sucks, because there are players who are, legitimately like GM and master players who are better at team play or spend all their time doing, custom games and in-houses and scrims and playing on teams and stuff like that, that would be surprisingly good in ranked 5v5s compared to some, challenger solo queue player who's never communicated about the game with anyone in their life. So there is a big difference there. And I think at the end of the day, League is obviously a team game. It was meant to be played together as a team. And ranked 5v5s embodied that spirit of the game in a way that Flex just doesn't really capture. And so between Flex failing to deliver on all of its promises when it comes to the game mode being different than ranked 5v5 or being better in some way, it's like people take the rank less seriously. You don't get to create a team with a unique identity in a team rank. It's less competitive. I already mentioned this, I think, but nobody takes the rank seriously. I'll say it again. You can't queue as 4 people like you were promised to be able to do initially in the first place. That was supposed to differentiate it from ranked 5v5. Let's see, and there was one other thing. Ranked 5v5 allowed you to queue with anyone of any rank, and Flex doesn't let you do that either. So the only benefit for flex is if you want to queue up as a 3-man for ranked, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do with ranked 5v5, but is currently available in flex. But yeah, I don't know who's doing that. I would assume that is a small cost to pay for adding ranked 5v5 back into the game. So I'd like to see that, and that's what I think about Clash. Basically, is like, whenever I see anything about Flex or Clash, I'm like, why do we not just have a team 5v5 game mode? It's also, I'll say this too, a really good distinguishing factor from other video games, because when they removed ranked 5v5, I legitimately looked at other games to see if I could quit League and play a game that had a similar system, and there was no other game with a similar system. Like, yes, you can play CSGO and Dota as a 5-man. I don't really know much about Dota, but you can play CSGO as a 5-man and competitive, and you can do, of course, like Face It and stuff like that. But it's not the same because you don't have like a team rank, and there was no kind of competitive point to like what are you getting to? Like what is the goal? There's no competitive end game to that. Whereas like in ranked 5v5, you had like, you know, getting to Challenger as a team, and then you had like an open qualifier tournament at the end of that, and a reason to compete in Challenger. So I think ranked 5v5 would be great. I wish they would add it back. I obviously think Clash adds something unique, but you know, it's happening so infrequently that really it doesn't fulfill the niche of like 5 friends wanting to be able to play competitive mode together, when they might want to do that like nearly every day, some groups of people. You know, and even if not every day, even if it's just once a week, that's a lot more frequently than Clash provides currently. And obviously everyone knows that rank flex is a joke. So bring back team 5s. With that being said, good luck in solo queue and have a wonderful day. Oh, and enjoy your Hextech Chest.